Hi, I'm Patricia with Senior Connections Center. June 15th is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And leading up to that day, we are doing a countdown to World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And today joining us is Ellen Cheek from the Senior Legal Helpline. Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you so much, Patricia. Thank you for having me.
Ellen, how long have you been with the Senior Legal Helpline?
I have been with the Florida Senior Legal Helpline since the day we opened the phones, which was in 2006. So I'm now a senior staff attorney with almost 15 years at the Senior Legal Helpline, which is based here in Tampa at Bay Area Legal Services.
Wonderful. What is the Senior Legal Helpline?
The Senior Legal Helpline is an advice and brief legal services program which is free, which is confidential, and which is available to any senior in the state of Florida. It's a statewide program. It is probably best described as a great point of access to Florida's pretty extensive legal services network. It is like an office appointment with an attorney, except the attorney is on the phone and the senior is at home or at a place of his or her own choosing. As you might, I'm sorry?
It's a wonderful service.
Yeah, it's, as you might imagine, it is incredibly valuable during this unprecedented time of sheltering in place, when having access to an actual office is difficult, if not impossible, for most of the seniors we would serve. So while it's especially valuable and much in demand now with the COVID restrictions, the Senior Legal Helpline has been around, as I said, for almost 15 years. We've been doing this, which is giving legal advice by phone for since 2006. And what that means is we have attorneys who are really well versed in the type of civil legal problems that seniors in Florida usually confront. But perhaps more importantly, they're really good at conveying legal advice over the phone and of developing ways to connect people with resources and materials remotely. And we have developed over those 15 years quite a cache of valuable self-help materials, as well as resources and contacts throughout the state of Florida. So while the helpline is especially good and a wonderful asset to have when sheltering in place, this is the model we've been working on and improving and growing since 2006.
Who can call the Senior Legal Helpline?
Okay, any Florida resident who is 60 years of age or older, who is a US citizen or a permanent legal resident, and who meets our income guidelines can call the Florida Senior Legal Helpline. Now, our income guidelines are 300% of the federal poverty limit, which is not a number that most people would be familiar with, much less know whether their income meets that limit. But our screeners do know, and it can be determined very, very quickly. So we encourage all seniors with civil legal problems to call to see whether they might be eligible for the program. I do want to say that assets, we have no asset limits. We will ask questions about a senior's assets when they called, and here's why. The first is, even though we have no asset limit, other legal services programs throughout the state might. And if we know a senior's asset limits, it makes referring an appropriate case that much easier. Mm-hmm. That's one reason we'll ask. The other reason is, frankly, the nature and extent of a senior's assets are extremely relevant to the advice we give, especially if the case involves debt collection or another issue with a financial aspect. It is very important to know, as I say, the nature and extent of those assets. And by the way, we do not ask for proof of income and assets when you call the Florida Senior Legal Helpline. We trust you, and we have found in our 15 years of experience that our trust, it has been well earned. People are very honest and forthcoming for the most part, especially when they understand how it helps us help them. So.
That's good to know. Will you walk us through the process of what happens when someone calls the Senior Legal Helpline?
Sure. So when a senior calls, they will be placed in a queue, and calls are answered pretty quickly, by the way, in the order in which they're received. And the person they will speak with is a screener. These are not attorneys, but they have been specially trained for their work on the Senior Legal Helpline, and they're awfully good at what they do. We have, by the way, both screeners and attorneys who are Spanish speakers, and we have access to an interpreter service for more than 100 languages, as well as interpreters to assist with the hearing impaired. So we have taken every step we possibly can, or hope we have, to make the Senior Legal Helpline accessible for all of Florida's very diverse senior population. So you call and you'll get a screener who will ask about age, income, assets, citizenship, household composition, and all of those questions have to do with determining eligibility, basic eligibility for our program. They will also ask for a brief summary of the reason for the call. And this is so important, Patricia, because one of the best things about the helpline is we have attorneys who are specialized in very different, a wide variety of topics which come up frequently in elder law. A brief summary of why you're calling not only gives the attorney a preview of the issue, but allows the screener to match the caller with an attorney who is most likely going to be in the best position to advise that person in a particular subject. So we have attorneys who specialize, for example, in public benefits. That means Social Security, SSI, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, home and community-based services. We have attorneys who handle most of the housing cases, which are landlord-tenant, subsidized housing, mortgage and foreclosure issues. We have attorneys who specialize in consumer law, and they will handle those cases, including debt collection, for example, and bankruptcy advice. And people who specialize in long-term care issues. So those are just some examples, but knowing why the senior is calling helps the screener match the client with an attorney who's probably going to have some very specialized knowledge that's relevant. Then, assuming the senior is eligible, the screener sets an appointment for a phone call with an attorney at a particular date and time. This is I think, one of the most valuable features of our particular helpline. And here's why I think it's so important. Having a specific date and time for the attorney call means the senior can collect documents that might be relevant and get in good order and get them organized. Some people find it very helpful to prepare a little outline or a summary so they don't forget important facts or things that are important questions to them in the course of the phone call. But I think most important of all, and after all, we're here to talk about World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, most important of all is knowing what the call is going to be allows a senior who may be a victim to arrange a safe, quiet, private place to receive the attorney's call, because they know when it's coming and they can take those steps to try to arrange for a really safe place to talk. So I really like that advance schedule, advance notice of the time and place, time and date for the telephone appointment.
Will you tell us a little bit more about why legal services are so important in preventing elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation?
Yes, so really many victims have no idea that there may be a civil legal tool that can be so powerful in helping them get some relief from abuse, neglect, or exploitation. And let me tell you why I think the helpline is really well suited to be that first, to be a good place to start, at least with the civil legal services journey. Again, victims in these cases are often isolated by their abusers. It may be, the abuser might be the one who controls the car or the money for Uber or the bus or whatever. It can be difficult, if not impossible, for someone who's struggling with these issues to get to an office appointment. But the Senior Legal Helpline can speak to them when they can talk and where they can talk. So that's one really important way I think that legal services can step in and get the help started. The other thing is that our program in particular, the Senior Legal Helpline, provides for, we schedule 1 hour appointments for the initial appointment. We know, Patricia, that many of the people we speak to in abuse cases or even run-of-the-mill consumer case, for example, have never spoken to an attorney before. Uh, in the case of the abuse, neglect, and exploitation cases, we know that the facts in these matters can be really difficult to discuss. So a 1-hour appointment allows some time to develop a beginning rapport and trust between the client and the attorney with whom they're speaking, allows everybody to get accustomed to talking about sometimes very painful issues, and in general accommodates a more thoughtful discussion than is often available. So we begin with that. By the way, our calls are confidential because it's between an attorney and a client, but even our phone number is a protected number, so that the call you'll receive from your helpline attorney, there is no indication that the call is coming from a law firm or from an attorney. There is no indication if someone sees the caller ID, someone in the household sees the caller ID and tries to call that number back, it actually says the number is out of service. A point which we discussed, by the way, with the client, so they're not concerned. And we give them a good way to reach us directly and safely. Okay, but we have taken every step we can think of to make this a secure, confidential, it's a lawyer-client relation, but also secure because we're dealing with victims who may be at risk, and we want to feel secure. Sometimes the legal question is answered and the advice is given in the course of of the phone call. That happens very, very often. We have a wide range of cases which really vary in their severity. So it might be a very simple civil legal question that we're able to answer right then that day. In other cases, we can provide some brief services. So maybe for one brief service that often occurs is we will make a 3-way call with the attorney, the client, and a party that might help resolve an issue, whether it's the opposing party or another resource where we might be able to start to facilitate some kind of resolution. So that would be a brief services call. In some cases, though, we're not going to be able to accomplish all we need to accomplish over the phone. And in those cases, we try very hard to make a referral to one of the programs in our network that does provide what we call extended services. For example, help with litigation or preparation of documents, services of that nature, excuse me. So we will try to do it in Hillsborough County. If it's a Hillsborough County senior, we will make a referral to a terrific extended service program, the Senior Advocacy Unit at Bay Area Legal Services. If they have the resources, and if the case fits their parameters, we can't guarantee, of course, but if they have the resources and the case fits their parameters, they will be considered for representation at one of these extended service programs. I think it might be helpful if I could tell you about some of the specific advice, legal advice that might come up in a case of a neglect or exploitation. So we might speak to people about a domestic violence injunction, and that's the kind of court order that removes an abusive spouse, a partner, or a household member by court. We might advise about unlawful detainer or eviction, which are types of actions that where the court assists in the removal of either a problem tenant or a problem guest whose continued presence is damaging to the senior's health or safety. We might talk about a financial exploitation protective order. That's a brand new civil legal tool, 2 years old, passed by the legislature just a couple of years ago, which allows a senior's assets to be protected before they're depleted entirely. And it also allows the court to make a lot of different kinds of protective orders if a vulnerable adult is threatened. Like it can restore exclusive use of a house to a vulnerable adult. And we often talk about how to revoke a durable power of attorney when the person who holds that document and is the agent is abusing that power or misusing that power to the detriment of the senior. And then we talk about all kinds of other civil remedies. For example, if the issue is monetary damage by an unscrupulous contractor or an unscrupulous lender, consumer cases, that kind of thing. They all of these involve situations in which a vulnerable adult has been victimized, and where a civil legal remedy might help. And we're all about trying to educate and to see if one of those tools would be helpful in a particular case.
Wonderful. Legal services are so important, and so many people don't realize that services for seniors that are funded under the Older Americans Act include legal services. And the Senior Legal Helpline is such a great resource. How does someone reach the Senior Legal Helpline?
Very, very simply. You can call our toll-free number. It's 888-895-7873, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Or if you're computer savvy, you can apply online. You will still receive a call back from a screener, but you can start the application process online at www.bals.org. That's Bay Area Legal Services. So bals.org, or the phone number 888-895-7873.
Thank you so much, Ellen, for joining us today. And I want to remind everyone that World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is June 15th. Senior Connections Center will be hosting a virtual event via Zoom. Check our Facebook page for more information on that. Thank you so much again, Ellen, and we appreciate the information you've given us.
I'm so glad. Thank you, Patricia. I appreciate the opportunity.